Hello everyone, it's me again, and this time with an excerpt from the upcoming Killing Time. Just a little bit of background. Mikey has been experimenting with what is known as rapidly hardening string. When time police officers string their victims, the main complaint is that the string doesn't harden quickly enough and the villains often escape. Mikey has been on the job and now the string hardens very, very quickly indeed. Sadly, less good in the softening up so that the prisoners can be safely removed area. There's been an experiment and it's all gone horribly wrong. Meanwhile, in the corridor between the pod bay and Mikey's workshop, the public areas of TPHQ are painted in stunning shades of beige and grey and adorned with tastefully soothing prints of London through the ages, the thinking being, presumably, to induce feelings of calm and tranquillity among public, prisoners and officers alike. The same scheme is extended through the non-public areas, with the exception of the tasteful prints, of course. Apart from notice boards, fire extinguishers and the occasional spray of blood, most walls at TPHQ are boringly bland, naked even. Not so the walls in the corridor outside the pod bay. A total of 10 officers hung from them, like the worst surrealist exhibition ever, as Mikey had unhelpfully informed them, all encased in a tangled web of what looked like hard, bright yellow, rubber-smelling spaghetti. 2 more officers lay on the floor. One appeared to have been laminated thereto and was immovable. TPOs coped with this by simply stepping over him, laughing their heads off as they did so. The other was the not very much more mobile officer Curtis, currently maintaining a humpback bridge position with his bum in the air. Indelicate remarks had abounded. TPOs are not noted for their sensitivity, style, or rapier-like wit. They'd all been here for some time, and it would be fair to say things were not proceeding well, or even at all. Matthew found Mikey standing there, hands on hips, surveying what everyone had taken to calling her victims. "I sent for help. We need additional people ASAP." Mikey made a gesture of frustration. "I don't understand it. The effect should have worn off long ago. I estimated the restraint time would be between 7 and 17 minutes, depending on ambient temperature, distance of the sprayer from the sprayee, weather conditions, and so forth." She tailed away. "There's no way you lot should still be glued to the walls." Officer Rockmeyer regarded her balefully. "Are you saying it's our fault?" "Well, I can't help wondering." Curtis struggled futilely. "I swear, Michael John, when I get out of this—" "Yes," said Mikey vaguely, her mind still running on her brainchild's inexplicable failure to perform as intended. "Threatening to tear my head from my shoulders the second you're free is no incentive, you know." She paused again, thinking chainsaw, and disappeared into her workroom. Officer Curtis's struggle increased tenfold, to no avail. Matthew tapped on Kelly's, for want of a better word, carapace. "It's not showing any signs of softening enough to free you, or even softening at all. I suppose we could chip at it with chisels. Bit time-consuming, though." Mikey reappeared with a rusty spray can, but mercifully minus the chainsaw. "I found this," she announced. "What is it?" demanded Kelly. "Probably best if you think of it as solvent. Yes, solvent." "A solvent to solve everything," said Matthew brightly. Kelly informed him he'd just been added to his list of people to be dealt with as soon as he was free to do so. Matthew waved this aside as unlikely ever to happen. "What does it do?" inquired Rockmeyer. Mikey frowned. Well, I'm not too sure, so I think we should proceed with caution. I'll just spray a very small area to begin with, and we'll see what happens, shall we? She placed herself in front of Kelly. Let's see, where's the best place to start? Nowhere, said Kelly in some agitation. What sort of idiot are you? Try it on something inanimate first, a chair or a clean-up crew or something. String them and then try out this solvent. I used up my whole supply of strings, said Mikey sadly. It'll take me at least another day to make some more, and Charlie Farrington's passing on the grief he's getting from hay. So, here goes. No, began Kelly on a rising note of protest, but it was too late. He squinted down at Mikey, carefully spraying the string encasing his left boot. There was a sharp smell of something. Can I smell cat pee? No, lied Mikey. Everyone stopped complaining and watched to see what would happen next. Nothing happened next. More minutes passed. Still nothing happened. Interest waned. Bugger, said Mikey, disappointed but unsurprised. Well, he still has his foot, said Matthew, so not a complete failure. No, said Mikey, but I was hoping for some sort of reaction. She bent down and peered closely at Kelly's foot. What's that? It's my foot, said Kelly helpfully. He squinted downwards. Is something happening to my foot? What's a foot with my foot? He began to giggle. What's a foot? About 12 inches. He giggled some more. The effect was disconcerting. Hey, Farrell, the game's afoot. Alongside him, Ot began to laugh. Let's hope your foot doesn't drop off, because then we'd have, ta-da, football. A couple of other officers apparently thought this was hilarious. And, added Rockmeyer, it's a wonderful opportunity to shoot ourselves in the foot, or someone else's foot. Overcome by his own wit, he hung from the wall, laughing hysterically. He wasn't the only one. Oh, said Matthew, staring around. Fumes? Side effects? Mikey's comm chirped. Hay's voice sounded. Progress report, Michael John, said Mikey. On the wall opposite Kelly, another officer began to chuckle, as did Matthew. Well, said Mikey, not a great deal of progress so far, but spirits are high. Give me back my officers, Michael John, or suffer the consequences. Okay, said Mikey. Can I hear laughter? I shouldn't think so, said Mikey, raising her voice to be heard over the sound of giggling officers. I'll get back to you. She shut down her comm and bit off a giggle. Shit, I think I've got it too. I wonder what was in that spray. While the whole corridor was still full of glued officers, it would be true to say they were now very much more cheerful about it. Many of them were enjoying a jolly good guffaw. The corridor rang with unfamiliar time police merriment. Holy fire truck, shouted Balmer, appearing at the door leading from security. Keep the bloody noise down, can't you? There's people trying to work in here. She eyed the laughing officers. What the? She sniffed, disappeared, and returned a moment later wearing a filter. Striding forward, she seized Mikey's spray can from her grasp and threw it back into security, shouting, Schwartz, get the senior mech to turn on the filtration system, will you? Full power. Keep all the doors closed. These morons are trying to gas us all. She carefully closed the door behind her and turned to address her esteemed colleagues. Idiots! Every single one of you. Hey, said Mikey in protest. Her eyes filled with tears. Her lip quivered. Don't be so unkind. A tear ran down her cheek, and then another. That was an awful thing to say, said Ot reproachfully. Rockmeyer burst into tears. You're a horrible person, Varma, he sobbed. Varma stared around. What, the fire truck? Someone, further down the corridor, informed them that his dog had died last week and he hadn't been there. Sobbing colleagues attempted to comfort him. "Shit on a stick," muttered Farmer, somewhat muffled behind her mask. "I work with idiots." A door at the end opened to reveal the senior mech. "Filter!" shouted Farmer, "unless you want to end up sobbing your heart out over your first love." The senior mech disappeared back into his own domain. "His first love was probably a rusty old engine," sniffed Matthew. "That's so sad," whispered Mikey. Poor man." Audibly praying for patience, now, Varma turned to go and fell over Curtis, a weeping heap on the floor. She eyed him thoughtfully, considerably dismaying Officer Curtis, who, between heart-rending sobs, demanded to know why she was looking at him like that. "I've had an idea." "Is it a brilliant idea?" asked Matthew, brightening up considerably. "My mum has those. They're—" He searched for a word. "Brilliant." He began to giggle again. Audibly praying for strength, now, Varma opened her comm. "Trainee Tucker, stop whatever you're doing and report to me outside security. If Trainee Claw is with you, then bring him too. Both of you wear filters and bring a spare helmet." The overhead vents came on, blasting cold air into the enclosed space. Officers began to cry because they were cold. Cautiously, a door opened to reveal a masked Tucker. Behind him stood Claw, similarly masked and holding a helmet. They regarded the alternately laughing and sobbing officers with mild astonishment. "I told you working here would be interesting," said Claw to Tucker. He addressed Varma. "You wanted me. I said you would one day, didn't I?" Varma ignored this. She pointed to the suddenly very apprehensive Curtis. "Can you lift him, both of you?" Officer Curtis tried to draw himself up into a defensive ball and failed miserably. He began to weep again. Tucker and Claw regarded him with astonishment. "Is it safe to touch him?" "No idea," said Varma. "That's why I'm using you two to find out." She gestured to the pair of them. "Trainees, expendable." "Yeah," said Claw, "we can lift him. Easy. Then what?" "Throw him down the stairs." Curtis shrieked. Tucker looked around. "What stairs?" "Find some and throw him down them." "Okay. Going to tell us why?" Varma rapped on Curtis's carapace. "This stuff is rigid. I can't go with my first impulse, which is to hit him with a lump hammer." "I still think chainsaw," put in Mikey. "I know I've got one somewhere. I just can't find it at the—" "No chainsaw," shouted Varma. "I can't believe I've had to tell you that. You people," she made a gesture that encompassed all of them, "idiots, all of you." She took a deep breath and strove for inner calm. "But chucking him down the stairs might do the trick." "It might kill him." "The hard shell will protect him." Unwisely, she added, "A turtle." And half a dozen fume-crazed officers broke into the theme tune of a popular children's series, finishing with a snappy, "Heroes in a half shell." Varma strove again for inner calm. Tucker peered down at his potential victim. "Head?" Claw held up the helmet. "Helmet." "Okay, Claw, you take that end. Up you come, sunshine." "No," shouted Curtis. "I did not sign up for this." "You can write a letter of complaint to my supervisor," said Varma. "Oh, wait, he's not here. I'm the one in charge at the moment. Make sure you spell my name correctly or I'll throw you down the stairs myself. Onward, gentlemen." Claw and Tucker picked up the wildly protesting Officer Curtis, followed by Varma, Mikey, Matthew, and acquiring a trail of interested spectators as they made their way through the pod bay. Bets were placed as to the probable outcome, and also because Officer Curtis was well liked and many officers wanted to say a personal goodbye. The short flight of stairs to the locker room being deemed inadequate, they removed their filters and squeezed into the lift. Trainee Claw was forbidden to use Officer Curtis as a stool, and Varma pressed the button up to the ground floor. Head for the stairs behind the interview rooms, instructed Varma as they exited. We don't want members of the public to see us throwing people down the stairs. She paused to reconsider this sentence before adding thoughtfully, although, no, we probably don't. Arriving at the top flight of a long flight of concrete stairs deemed suitable for their purposes, they paused to take stock. How do you want to do this? Inquired Tucker. Do we roll him, or drop him, or hurl him with considerable force? Or not at all, shouted Curtis. They ignored him. Minimum force to begin with, said Varma. Roll him. Fire truck off, the lot of you, shouted Curtis, red-faced with the effort to break free. It'll be fine, said Mikey cheerfully. If it doesn't work, your hardened string will protect you, and if it does work, then you're free. God, moaned Curtis. Ready, shouted Tucker. On 3. Wait, shouted Matthew, arguably the most sensible person present, which wasn't saying much. Don't forget his helmet. Oh, yes, said Varma, indicating appropriately. Sorry. She addressed the now helmeted Officer Curtis. All right, when you're ready, gentlemen. 3, said Tucker. A wailing Officer Curtis disappeared over the edge. They heard him bounce from step to step. The noise seemed to go on for a very long time, and then there was silence.